I think it started recording, sir. I can see the red button. Yeah. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. I'm absent. 1 minute. Good evening to all, and thank you, Ananya, for introducing me and welcoming gathering over here. Every day is learning. Today is also important learning for me, I can say, when I was searching content for this topic. To admit that the same topic which I was taking for more than 9 years. 9 years I'm taking the same topic. But when I was preparing content for today's presentation, I have gone through the recent research studies conducted by some of them, and I found that there is a myth I had. That means the knowledge which is there, the schema. The schema is tilted, and then I'm having that modified schema right now. I hope the same thing will happen to you all. With that note, I will begin my presentation. This is about me, I think it's introduced, and here is a disclaimer. And pictures and other content were selected from the Google search. And if there is anything need to be included, welcome. And I have received 6 mails from different persons. Okay, what I have done recently, I have shared this content. Yesterday evening, I shared presented content to some of the group members. The person you see the mail. Some of the mail I would like to address here. Their questions are very interesting. As you mentioned that they have gone through that. Excuse me.
So can you make me co-host, please?
Just a minute. Yes, I have done it. Members. Yeah, can you please take care of that explanation?
Sure, sir.
So the one of the question is that, as you mentioned, that brain region, we were aware about that hippocampus is the only region for long-term memory. But when I go through the content, we found that there are some other parts also responsible for memory. And as you said, memory is the one thing. We are having the two kind of memory. What they are saying that gut brain. Gut brain means our digestive system. They are calling it a brain. Whether it doesn't roll on our memory. So this is the one question. And another question is that there are I'm going to read about the questions I have received. Still, I'm finding answer for those questions. Second question is about, we have come to know that there are certain information from the news channels that in the past life, they are recollecting, and they are the children around 7 years went to that particular village, and he claimed that a 60-year-old as his wife. And he explaining all the details. That means whether these kind of memory can be transferred. And another important thing is, as you said, that the memory only is on brain cells or only in the neuron or neurotransmitter, whether other parts of body, maybe on our other parts of body cells has any role on that. And whether the recent studies on genetic has an influence or any inputs is there for memory. So there are a number of questions, and I wanted, they thought that I am the authority to give the answer for them, but which made me to explore further. So I have prepared around 142 slides. I hope I may cover around 30 to 35 because I have received one of the suggestions from my close friend that instead of going for upper stretch, you can have the presentation in 2-3 days because it will reach many population, many people who are looking for to understand the concept memory. So I will move on to the next one. Yes. So memory and learning is an interesting area, an interesting topic for the not only now, it is an interesting topic for 2 centuries, more than 200 years, searching to find answer for that question. And when you take that, the first attempt was emerged from the field called philosophy. And as you all know, that Plato, Aristotle, Thiruvalluvar in Tamil Nadu, the philosophers could try to understand that memory and learning. And there, I think there were the ancient times. And the next field is in psychology, I can say. In the 100 years, we were trying to find out what is memory and what is the role of psychologists and how they can make a change in it. If there is a problem in memory, what is the role they can play? So these were the questions in front of the psychologists, and they are trying to find the answer for that. And they may conduct many researches, and they come up with some of the findings also. And third important thing I can say that the biology. Biology is there more than it is a standard field, but the advancement in memory studies happening in biology field, bioscience, especially the introduction of technology in the field of science. When the technology and science were go hand in hand, and they found that there are a lot of interesting findings like CT scan and PET scan that gives more input regarding that what is the thing happening in our brain. I'll give one of the things, one term here. For example, I think you all may have an experiences, or some of your classmates may done these things. You may be an observer or spectator in your school days. When the teacher asks you to visit some other classroom during the class hours, you will take as many time and then different routes, and then it will take much of time. But at the same time, this for playground, and he will quickly go to the playground. So these we can say that from input output, the starting place and the end place. Okay, what we can say that is streaming. They are calling engram. We are going to discuss about engram also. Engram is one of the important strategies study about which are the parts of brain which is responsible for our memory and our learning. For example, there are sensory inputs we are receiving from that engram through 5 sense organs. There are many sensations are there, but 5 sense organs are there through which we are getting information, and these information were processed, and then we are receiving, retaining, processing, and whenever we need it, recalling. That's the memory. So there is a concept. I'll move on to the biology. Given a lot of inputs, I can say, and a lot of evidences to support that. They went in detail, even DNA and RNA, that genomic studies were given the clear-cut idea about that, whether it is a brain part is responsible for memory or the neurotransmitter. I think there is an, as I said, my schema which I heard earlier were tilted, and after learning this concept, and I hope that will happen to you also. The basic questions in front of us: what is memory? So memory is a common term. It is a process. Okay, it's a process which involves acquire. For example, you are listening this webinar session. You are acquiring information through the any kind of person. It may be from your classmates, or it may be family members, whatever it may be. Acquire the information. Once if you acquire the information, you have to store the information. Okay, if I'm giving my pen to you, I have to give it in your pocket. Store and retain. Don't give it to other person. Whenever needed, you have to take it and then retrieve the information. So these are the 3 terms. And earlier we had a presentation by Hans. He has presented very well. So in detail, he given that. So I'm just making another one. So the same definition here, I want to hear you just look at the picture. How the memory process is going on, I will have taken the 2 components. One is about that what is memory, how the memories were happening, what are the different types of memory, and we are going to look into that which part of brain is responsible for what kind of memory. So these are the things I'm going to cover today's presentation. We will look at here. So these are the 5 senses. Okay, hearing, sight, smell, touch, and then taste. So these are the things that we call as sensory memory. When it may be there is a sound. If you hear that sound, that is a sensory memory. There is when you see that I'm speaking, there is a flaws are there in the background. You can say that the color of the sight is a sensory memory of the sight. The smell, touch, and then taste. These are things called sensory memory. I will add one more statistics here. As per studies conducted by many education psychologists, they found that how many percentage of information we are learning from the different sense organs. According to them, we are learning 87% through sight. 87%. See here the sight, 87%, and 11% from hearing. I'm saying that normal human being. 87% through sight, and 11% through hearing, and remaining 2% are from other sensory organs. So we are not replacing these other sensory organs, but it is having that equal capacity what we can use with the eyes and the ears also. We are not replacing it. For example, I will give one example. When you look at the person, visually challenged persons, they are using other sensory inputs in a higher manner. Normal human beings are using only 11%, but their sensation of like hearing and smell and touch will be far better than the normal human being. So, okay, with that, I hope you can understand that. And after the different studies, a normal human being, we are getting more information, 87%. It is a one thing. So, okay, these sensory memories are, we are receiving from different inputs. If you give attention, just understand that if we give attention to the sensory memory, it will go to the short-term memory. What we can call that short-term memory is otherwise called working memory. Okay, the short-term memory, when you do the rehearsal, that's why when your family members ask you to go and buy something, we will rehearse that, okay, one, this one, two, this one, that. The order will reclaim it, even though we may forget it sometimes. When you do the rehearsal, the short-term memory will be formed. And when you think about the time duration for sensory memory is on less than a second. Okay. But for short-term memory, it is 20 to 30 seconds, less than a minute. And when we do that appropriate rehearsal, we go to the long-term memory. Okay. And we want to hear. And look at here, this is an important thing. If you are not at the same only here, if you are not giving attention to the sensory incoming information, we are not giving attention, what will happen? You will lost. There itself. Okay, there are many inputs we are receiving from the environment. It lost in the beginning itself. And when you show the attention, it will go to the short-term memory, it is also a working memory. When you do the rehearsal, in the rehearsal, what we will do? We will encode the information and store the information. Elaborate rehearsal will happen. Okay, this man is explaining about memory, okay, a roadmap to memory. You will do that elaborate rehearsal, and you will encode. Suppose if you are not able to encode properly, if you are not able to rehearse properly, it will not go to the elaborate rehearsal. You cannot do that. Sometimes you may hear here and there, and then you forget everything. And when you do the proper rehearsal and elaboration, it will go to the long-term memory. And in the long-term memory, don't think that, I guess it is there in my long-term memory, you will not forget. You will forget it. I will give one example. There is another study. I used to say to my students, it is done by cognitive psychology. As per the cognitive psychology, they are saying that if you listen my lecture, after this lecture, after 1 hour, not more, after 1 hour, now we are in 6:30 or 6:45. Okay, 7:45, you can remember only 50% of the content you have received through webinar. Only 50%. I'm saying that an average person. Some of you may be expert, you may remember 90%. If you show that interest toward the resource person or interest toward the content what we are discussing, and you may remember much more information. But in generally, according to the cognitive psychologist, we may remember only 50% of the content. And after 24 hours, that means tomorrow, we will remember only 30% of the content you received in this webinar session. And after a week, after 7 days, remember 10%, nearly 10%. So this is the condition you have to understand that. So don't think that if it is there in your long-term memory, you will not forget. Yes, we will do the forgetting. The forgetting may be retrieval failure. There are many theories out there. Retrieval failure, when you are not trying, where you have, for example, imagine that you kept something in your home. It may be a study room or somewhere else. You forget where you kept it. If you are not retrieving it, and then you may forget. But that theory, interference. There are newly added information hinder your existing that already stored information. And for example, I'll give one example. That is transference. When you are good in trading, earlier there is a gear system will be in the left hand. In the right hand it will be there. But in bullet you can find it in the left hand. Okay. When you change that vehicle what you are trading, you will struggle a lot. That is called interference. Even likewise in our memory, when you learn something that already learned information, that when the new information, new learning will interfere with the existing one and we forget it. Okay. And decay theory over a period of time and certain area, for example, you are having the memory card. The memory card is decayed or damaged. We cannot able to retrieve. Likewise, in our brain, we are having the different area. Brain parts were that's why Alzheimer and dementia we can find it. Alzheimer and dementia, their brain cells were more number of brain cells were degenerated. We cannot be able to rejuvenate. When we are not do that, it is very difficult to retrieve the memory we stored in our memory. So this is about the basic concept about memory, how we are taking up. And we are just going to that what are the different types. As you know that sensory, short-term and then long-term memory. Here, there is a further classification. As I said in the beginning, you can see here, the sensory memory is for less than 1 second. For short-term memory, it will be the less than 1 minute. And long-term memory for lifetime. These long-term memory we can further classify into two types. What is that? One is explicit memory, other is called conscious memory. You know that what it is. Another one is implicit memory. Unconsciously you can use it. For example, procedural memory. Someone is throwing or some dust is coming towards you, you will close your eyes. So these memories are called. Another type I can say that when you hear that someone is calling a name, you will get a fear. How you know that? Unconsciously, which is transmitted from your father's hospital. So that unconscious memory is from coded through our genes. Okay. So that is called procedural memory. It can be learned once you do the rehearsal again and again. You will be expert in those components. Yeah, that's why you can see that some of the people are very good in listening and they can chart. And these are the skills and the tasks they can do. That will come to the explicit memory. Conscious memory, it is we can say that a declarative memory. It is otherwise called declarative memory. There are two types of declarative memories. One is episodic memory, another one is semantic. Episodic memory, we remember the events in the different lifespan. For example, when I was 5 years old, I remember I had visited my neighbor's house. Okay, and I enjoyed with my relatives. We had a fun with friends in that mango tree. So these things come from that. So even that you go to the particular episode, particular time, and then your experiences will come in your memory. And you see your classmate, and you remember that what all the things are when you visit your alumni of your institutions, whatever in your school or college, you will remember all the incidents which were happening in that place. And semantic memory is something. For example, I will give an example for this. Yes, Dr. Veena. Yeah, can you please answer me the question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So, what is psychology?
Yeah. Psychology is a branch of science that deals with the cognition and behavior of living organisms.
Okay, so here this is an example for a semantic memory when you have a fact and concept. And since it is on science and it's study about cognition and behavior, so these we call it semantic memory. Through learning, we will acquire. Well, I move on to the this is a recent study I found which was published in the year 2016. This and this flowchart was presented in 2016 article by one of the authors. They, for understanding that implicit and explicit memory, he given that declarative, that explicit memory, facts and events, where it will be stored in the brain parts. Okay, that is the most interesting thing. At the beginning itself, as I told that many of you, if you ask any person in the layman, which part of the brain is responsible for your memory, they will say that the hippocampus. Mostly they will say the hippocampus. Okay, and there are other parts of the brain also responsible. And this article, they try to find out, for example, facts and events where this information will be stored. They found that hippocampus. This is there in medial temporal lobe, or we can say that diencephalon. And we'll come to that implicit or non-declarative memory. So one is on skills and habits. They are having that skills And the skills is nothing but your ability to do perform better. That we can say that natural ability. Okay. So these will be stored in our brain part is called cerebellum. Cerebellum is called, otherwise called small brain. There we can find out striatum and motor cortex. Where these skills and habits were stored, that will control your habit. When you do better in the particular activity, and your skills were controlled by that part of the brain. And priming. Priming is doing that numbers for small calculation, that neocortex. Neocortex means the here. Neocortex, if we can find out that when we were evolution had happened, that the brain were developing from different forms of animal and human being, we can see that it is the animal it is there. Neocortex is an prefrontal cortex, we can say that. Here prefrontal, the frontal lobe is developing, and then the predictions are there in future. The frontal lobe of our brain will be bigger than that what we are having right now. And we'll come to the next one, and basic and associative learning. Okay, there are two components. One is an emotional response. Okay, emotional response. Mostly emotional memory means amygdala. Related to that negative emotions, fear and anxiety. The amygdala is their source that memory will be stored, which is connected to that particular area. For example, in your computer, you may have a different folder, and each folder you may subfolders you may have. Here in hippocampus, yes, emotion memory, your amygdala will be regulated, and we come to that skeletal musculature. That means cerebellum, that mostly the outline, the concepts, when you have that idea about something, that the conceptual component will be there in cerebellum. And finally, non-associative learning, reflexes and pathways. The new studies were found that a particular pathway, the circuit will be responsible for non-associative learning. And here is an interesting question in front of us. Are memories stored in just one part of the brain, or are they stored in many different parts of the brain? As in the previous slide itself, I given some input, and you all agree that there is no single part is responsible for our memory. There are different parts, different areas in our brain which is responsible for our memory. Okay, what are they? So, who has attempted to explore this area? So, he is the first person, Paul Lassley. He began exploring the problem. Okay, that problem is whether the only one part of the brain is responsible or different parts of the brain is responsible for our memory. About 100 years back, he has done a lesion. Lesion is nothing but removing a portion of the brain part, and then he will study about whether this removal has an impact on our memory or not. So that is a study he has done. Whom he has done the study? He has done study with the two animals, one is rats and another is monkeys. So now predominantly monkeys were banned, and you have to get an ethical clearance from the medical council. But rats were, I can say that, predominantly used for learning and memory kind of studies. What they will do, so okay, there, see, he used, before I will explain the term called leasing. Leasing, there are different ways. The removing the brain, a portion of brain, there are different techniques are there, you have to remove. Now we are having that knives and then gamma rays, and then there are many advanced technologies we are having. But when he was taking up the study, he has not had any such a sophisticated instrument to do the lesion. That means removing that particular part of brain. Okay. What he has done. So here you can see in the diagram, you can see that engram. Engram is nothing but Paul Lassley, he find that evidences. Okay. For example, the physical representation of memory. If I say the color, red color, okay, there is an image comes in your mind, am I right? Where this image comes, when I say that another thing, white color, green color. So this particular area will be there, and then connection you can see. Okay. Excuse me. So he tried to develop engram, means now we can say that genogram. I think Dr. Suresh is here. She is very good in that. She asks the students to prepare the genogram, especially when you go for a client detail about, when you want to collect detail about the client. Sorry for So they will prepare genogram. Here he tried to find out that, for example, how the memory is forming. Okay, when the memory is forming, you see that this is the area. First, where it is going. The next slide you can able to see. See, he put a rat in the maze, in the puzzle. It has to reach the target. Okay, the goal where there he can get the food. He just put in a hungry rat inside the cage in the maze to find out that route. Okay, the first time it may take much time, but second and third trial it will know that okay. So we should not use that when we go this, we will not find the answer for. We will not reach our goal shortly. So when over a period of time, the experience will teach them to make a shorter time to reach the goal. He find out, okay, when the first time why it is going, the second, where these information were stored, he tried to find out that's called physical representation of memory. Okay, we know that when I'm entering into my room, when I'm entering into my house, there is an entrance, and then I will go to the living room, and then I go to the kitchen, and then I can find out that the restrooms and my bedroom. These were the things. These physical representation, the area which will be stored in our brain, where it is stored. That is his interest of the study. Okay, so he tried to study these things by removing that brain parts. So what he has done, you may know that those are the electricians. When there is a disconnection between the two wires, they use a soldering. He uses soldering to damage the brain parts. That means instead of cutting and then removing, he just put it and then he damaged a particular part, and he studied whether this damage has an impact on that animal's memory. See, interesting thing you can see. See the picture you can see here. And these were when the different emotions expressed by the face, we can able to identify the advanced technology. But when he was doing, we never had on such a technology. He used these conditions, the engram cells. Engram means the area it will go and it will use a particular thing, and the particular areas will guide a spatial component. Okay. He has done, he tried to erase that engram. Okay. We may have that idea. There is a mind map will be there. We try to remove that mind map by brain lesion technique. Okay, whether we will find out whether it has an effect on that rats or not in the coming slides. Unfortunately, here you can see. So these are the areas. Just imagine that 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the way it is connected. We just imagine that this is a mind map to reach the target. Okay, the goal to reach the goal, and he couldn't find out that when you remove that particular portion of the brain area, it does not affect that, even it may be the size, small portion or a bigger one, it does not have an impact on the memory. It has an ability to find out that problem. When you put that rat in the maze, even after lesion, it has a capacity to find out the things. That means we come to know that when one part of brain is damaged, that area has a particular role. Am I right? These role will be taken by the adjacent area of the brain or the other lobes. We may aware about that there are two lobes, two hemisphere, right hemisphere and left hemisphere, and other hemisphere will take a role and then it will play such a role. So that is the finding he found, and here you can see. So, he developed a hypothesis. So what is the hypothesis? If part of one area of the brain involved memory is damaged, another part of the same area can take over that memory functions. So equipotence hypothesis, whether if one area of the memory part is removed or damaged, will other part of the brain will have take over the role of the particular part? Yes, he said that he found that yes. Okay, and here you come to that another. He may thought that earlier the engram will be there in the brain. So when we damage the brain area, So we can able to find out that engram. But he couldn't find out that there is a mind map, okay, the cognitive map about solving the problem. But modern psychologists, now we are having the technology like advanced technology in the beginning itself, as I said, to study about the memory, the biologist has a huge role. They are playing a huge role to find out that neuron. One of the recent study, I never thought of it, and it's such an amazing thing. We all know that neuron. So one neuron would be there are billions and billions of neurons, and one neuron, that neuron, there's a particular part which will be activated. I'll give one more example to understand the concept. Just imagine that if you are happy, okay, if you are happy when you look at the particular thing, just you are look at my presentation. Okay, there is a part in your brain will be activated. Earlier, he has done a recent technique to study about that, which part is activated. But now we are having the technology. This technology will help us to know that by using that PET scan and then MRI scan, this technology will help us to know that, okay, when he is looking at a particular image, okay, these brain, the neurons are more active. Okay, these activations were studied in depth, and they found that not for just even for the first neuron, second and third neuron, there is no communication, and fourth neuron has an impact. So these many advanced studies are going on. Okay, the modern psychology, modern biopsychologists and neuropsychologists will come up with more and more findings, and with that memory, definitely your memory can be stored in some genes, it can be replaced to another person. I hope in coming days it may happen. And recently I had an opportunity to attend one of the international conference organized by Mananam University. We have a person who is working on that gene coding, gene on and off technology. On and off technology means genetic code you can extract and then you can inject, it will be just immerse it and then it will activate it. Activating it, whatever the person you want to utilize it, and it will deactivate whatever the person you don't want to use it. Actually, they conducted for cancer, but now they are coming for other applications also. I'll model it another one. And here you just look at the images. After Lansley, there is another person, Eric Kandel. Eric Kandel, he spends decades of working on the snaps. Snaps means you can see here there are, I think when you look at that neuron, so okay, that neuron nerve cells, like animal cells, I think many of you are aware about it. Animal cells. The animal cells, there is an end will be there. We can say that dendrites are axon terminals. In axon terminals, we can find out these kind of structures. So when you maximize it, multiple, and these synaptic vehicle and this thing called neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters will be transferred, maybe chemical or electric. Okay, how the neurons were communicating with the adjacent neuron through chemicals or electrical signals. So here these neurotransmitters will be transmitted, and they found that okay, the memory functions were happening. These synaptic trigger or firing will happen between one and another neuron. And when the person having the good memories, these area will be activated. These synaptic, when the person having the more synaptic transmission, they are having the better memory. When you are listening, for example, you are listening this lecture or whatever it may be, and if you are not going to the long-term memory, it means the synaptic communication between one neuron and another neuron in the area which is responsible for memory is not activated fully. And there are few studies are conducting recently. They are saying that yes, we can able to activate the synaptic communication artificially also. So we can improve the memory by activating that synaptic communication. As we all know that there are many scientists believe that the entire brain is involved in memory. I believe there are two areas where responsible for memory. One is the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex is for working memory or short-term memory. And sensory memory, you know that occipital lobe for visuals and the parietal lobe for speech and language. Okay, these are the things we know about it. But they are saying that you cannot say that only one area is responsible. Everything is responsible for our memory. However, the studies were attempted to study about like Nansley and for recent technique, they closely observed and they found that there are different areas which is connected to that different types of memory. Okay. So the main part of brain which is involved in our memory are amygdala, as I said, emotional memory, and hippocampus, long-term memory, and cerebellum, your skills and ability memory involved in the procedural memory, prefrontal cortex, short-term memory. When you receive that, I'm saying that what is the 2 plus 2? You process, okay, 2 plus 2 means 2, 3, 4. Or that when you process prefrontal cortex, that it will take care of the working memory. It will work and then communicate. Yes, and look at here. We will look at one by one. Amygdala, it involves in fear memories. When you all kind of fear memories. That's why when you look at that, even the persons, especially female, are afraid of cockroaches. They may not expose to that. Even the first time when they see the cockroach, they will scream a lot. But what's happening to them? That such a screaming you can find it in a place when they saw a cockroach. So the fear memories were there in our amygdala. It can be, there are studies proven that genetically it can be transferred from your fathers and forefathers. And second part is an hippocampus is associated with our declarative memory and episodic memory. It will help us to recognize, okay, recognitions. Recall and recognition are two different. Recognition is something when you see somebody, I saw you somewhere else, your face is more familiar to me. That is a recognition. Recall is something, you have to retrieve the process there, you have to go back to the same procedure and then collect the information. And cerebellum, I think it plays an important role for procedural memory. When you piano, I think when you play the piano, when you walk, when you do some particular skill, picking whatever it may be, it is controlled. Your ability, your potential will be there in your cerebellum. With that control. And finally, prefrontal cortex, remembering that message that what is psychology, what is memory, what is hippocampus. These information will be stored in your. Here you can get a clarity about the different parts. The major area is on prefrontal cortex, major area. Amygdala is a small and one you can find out at the edge of that hippocampus. Edge of the hippocampus. Hippocampus is like a seahorse-like structure. Seahorse-like structure you can find out in both hemispheres. And cerebellum, a small brain. And one interesting news is that, as you all know, that the three major parts, cerebrum, the whole area we can say that cerebrum, brainstem, and cerebellum. 85% of our brain composed of cerebrum. Okay, or we can say that cortex, cerebral cortex. And cerebellum is around nearly 10%. Okay, the overall size of the brain is only 10%. But when you count the number of cells, number of neurons in the brain, it is 50% of our neurons are accumulated in the cerebellum. And other 50% you can find out in your cerebrum as well as brainstem. 50% of our neurons are accumulated, very tightly packed in your cerebellum. Okay. And memory traces, when we study about the beginning engram, okay, the physical way we can associate that with the structure, that flow diagram, okay, and map we can, for example, when you exercise, when you walk from 1 or 2 kilometers, and you come back to your home, and then you know that what are the way you go there and come back, that we can see the engram. That's the best way, that concept, okay. When the person is saying that I'm here, how can I reach a place? You will ride and you take a right and then move left, and third building you can come in the first floor. So this is the information you give. Okay. How information and mental experiences are coded and how it is represented in the brain remaining, it is many of the studies were unanswered. How we are coding. For example, I'm conveying the message in English language. Okay, we are coding it. And how the different languages and the this is the one thing. How this information we are receiving through different sensory, we are coding it. In the communication, encoding and then decoding are important. Encoding, how we are coding it. What is the procedure? For example, when we communicate with other person through mobile phone, okay, when you talk, it will be converted into electromagnetic waves. It reaches that receiver relay station, and it will satellite and go to the target person. Here we will come back to memory. I'm talking to you. You are listening to me. These information, how it is coding, how the coding happening. So these studies are going on, and it is still many of them are unanswered. I can say that unexplained. And as I said, I have received many questions. One of the questions, whether in spiritual way and other components also has an impact on memory. There are questions are here. Why we take memory only in our physical component? There are aura and other components are saying that these components has an impact, has a role on memory also. An interesting thing is that there are questions were raised and there are looking for answers also. I hope we will explore meta-analysis of different studies conducted by different researchers. Definitely we can find answer for that one also. Okay. But now we are having that scientific research conducted on the neuroscience. They find that there are neural network coding is happening. We can say that neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means that flexible way we can understand, open to learn. Okay. Some we can see that certain areas rigid, you cannot make any changes. But flexibility will be there. When new memories come, there isn't flexibility. That's why, as I said, the beginning itself, I admitted myself, I'm teaching these memory concepts for more than 9 years. But after collecting information, there is a huge change that existing memory, that neuroplasticity is happening in my mind, in my brain. And definitely, the few more information I may get it, that will also help us to understand the concept further. I can explain it again. So they found that there are neural connections which is responsible for our memory. Not only that particular part of place or particular area is responsible for our memory. And there are many studies will conducted that will help us to understand further. Here you can see where our information is stored. As I said at the beginning, we were know about that 4 important area, but I can say based on that available researches, based on the available research publications, we have come to know that. It doesn't mean that other part, that the parts which we were not discussed may not have a role on that memory, the human memory. So memory, we have to understand one concept. Memory are not stored in just one part of the brain. It's stored in different parts across the different areas, and which were interconnected to the different regions, interconnected to one and another area. Okay, for example, explicit memory. The events about that episodic, it will be stored in our hippocampus, neocortex, and amygdala. So, hippocampus, neocortex, and amygdala. And implicit memory we can find out mostly in our prefrontal cortex and cerebellum. Okay. And we will study in detail about these things, whether I'm out of timing. Okay. I'm sorry. We are having few more slides also. Here you can see, understand the concept. What is explicit, what is implicit? The picture itself, we can get an idea. So explicit is unconscious and implicit is unconscious. When you consciously work on something to remember, so that comes in the explicit memory. Implicit memory, unconsciously it will be there, and then spontaneity, involuntary, like procedural motor activity. Someone is throwing a ball, we will just cross our hands. We will close our eyes with eyelids. So these procedural memories. Okay. So the explicit memory, this one, this explicit memory for episodic and semantic, we can find that there are 3 parts of brain which is responsible. I will go with one case study, and we will continue with that part 2 and part 3 of this. The roadmap to memory will continue our webinar session whenever we are having the free slots. And I hope you are follow that session also. These were the areas, 3 brain areas which is responsible for explicit memory: hippocampus, neocortex, and then amygdala. We come to the hippocampus. So these are structure, as I said, like a horseshoe-shaped structure. The horseshoe-shaped structure is there in our brain, that is an hippocampus. It is there in our temporal lobe, and long-term memory and episodic memory, you can find out this place. Okay, and these are one of the classical case study. Another classical case study, as we all know, that stroke and epilepsy. So when people will them, they will just do that. Epilepsy means a particular part of the muscles involuntarily they will move, and they can the eye movements. There are particular area. There are different versions of that. Conversion you can find out. See, these epilepsy were found in a person. The person called Henry Molaison. They generally call HM only. The most popular case study I can say. When you go to that the classical case study in psychology, there are few studies. One of the case studies is this one. This study, HM study. Okay. In 1953, he had an epilepsy. To avoid epilepsy, to come out from that issue, he underwent a surgery. Okay. His doctor, he removed the surgery has done to remove that. It has happened in USA. They removed that hippocampus. Hippocampus was surgically removed from that HM. And interestingly, we have to understand that his epilepsy was cured. Epilepsy was cured. He lived further 55 years after that operation. He lived another 55 years in healthy years. I think the studies are saying that. However, what they had, the episodic memories are for only 3 minutes. He cannot be able to remember before surgery whatever the information he had. He cannot be able to remember. He was completely unable to store the information permanently. That you know that there are few movies who can come in from India, in Tamil Nadu, in India there is a forgotten. Surya was an actor. Short-term memory when they were striking his head, and he lost, and he will remember only that information which is stored. So he will write everything in his hand and body. So he is a person when that hippocampus was removed, they found that the short-term memory was erased. So then we can come to the okay, that is the part responsible for our long-term memory. The years before the surgery, he couldn't remember anything at all. Even though he is having that ability to improve the performance, various motor skills. Really, it was the different motor skills he tried to develop. And he tried to practice it. And the only problem is he cannot store the information. He is very fresh. I think many of you know that because of memory, there are many of us, we are having that many problems. But negative memories are ruminating our thought, spoiling our mood, and we cannot do anything. Okay, so we'll come and then we'll come in another hour.
English தெரியாதா?
Just go and come. So there is an complaint from my son. He is asking me to do. So I forgot to buy. We went there. It seems sorry for the hotel. I will resume it. Thank you. We'll resume that. And the HM case study is a classical one. We can understand that the hippocampus is responsible for explicit, which is helping us to store the information for permanently for long term. That is the area which is responsible. You can understand. And here you can see the picture: a normal brain and HM brain. So these were the area of surgery they removed. It is a person. Even after the surgery, he lived up to another 55 years. We have to understand that his study helped us to understand that there are different types of memories are there in human beings. Then only they classify. And implicit and motor learning responsible in our hippocampus. And there is one more area which is also responsible: basal ganglia and cerebellum. If it is not there, the other area which is take over the part. That's why in the Lansley, when was trying to find out a decent technique to remove the brain part, and another area will take over the role of the previous area. Here, when you remove the hippocampus, that other area, basal ganglia and cerebellum, will take over the explicit. And neocortex is an we can find out the evolution, and we are the advanced Homo sapiens. We are having that neocortex. Neocortex in big size. The rational component thinking and the processing information will happen at here. And higher order functioning, like I think you all know that higher order functioning is thinking, reasoning, problem solving, decision making, language, attention. These higher order functioning If it is not there, just imagine if we are not having the neocortex, we cannot process the higher order component. We cannot receive that information, and spatial, the distance between one and another place also, we cannot able to get. And these, when these areas were well developed, there is a high snappy communications are there. We can find out the researcher found that even these will take over the role of sometimes the hippocampus. Okay. And we'll move to the amygdala. As I said, there is a fear and negative emotions. Emotional memory will be stored. It's here you can see the structure at the end. Amygdala, you can see the hippocampus, small gland in there. Which is responsible for our emotion memory. The strong emotions. See, I will give one example. We remember that most of the incidences in our episode, there are two incidents, only that negative incidents, that is the event which were hurted by you most, or the incident you felt more happy. These incidents will be that when any memory, when you connect it with the emotions, it will be long lasting. So there is another step. Okay. And we'll move to that the area. Amygdala is responsible for memory, and when we having that connected to that emotional memory, the strength of memory long lasting. We can able to remember and recollect whenever we need it. And then another one is implicit memory, basal ganglia and cerebellum. Okay. So basal ganglia, this is a structure you can find out. Excuse me. This is a structure in this picture you can see the basal ganglia. It is there in midbrain. The habit formations and the movement of learning will be controlled here. And the coordinating the sequences of when we are not coordinating, for example, when we read something, when we memorize something, for example, if we are learning something, we need a systematic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, suppose if I remember to speak for 1, 5 is very difficult. And cerebellum is a yeah, you can mute it then. The cerebellum is small brain, other is called which is responsible for our what I can say that skill-oriented memory. It will be prefrontal cortex, working memory. As I said, when you want to do the calculation, when you do something, when you make a decision, all these things will happen on our prefrontal cortex. And finally, I can conclude with my presentation one more topic. There were studies recently conducted. Okay, they found that not only these areas are responsible for our memory, neurotransmitters. The 2003 they conducted a study. They found that neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, glutamate, acetylcholine, and GABA, epinephrine, norepinephrine has an important role in our memory. Then, how we extend these neurotransmitters were transferred from one neuron to another neuron plays a vital role in our memory. With that, I can stop my presentation, and we will have the I think these are 142 slides. I presented only 32 slides. Okay, these slides will be shared in our WhatsApp group and then other social media also. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer the questions. Over to you.
Yes. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Thank you so much for taking an intensive subject, sort of, very, very important for any psychology student. And the amount of information you have given, I don't know how we are going to store it in our memories. Probably we need to work on that. Thank you so much. And participants, whoever have any queries, kindly unmute yourself and ask the question, or you could put it in the chat box. Yes, sir. How could we get the resource material?
Yeah, that's I can say that there are tricks are there. The keyword we are entering in that Google search plays an important role to understand the concept. What we will do, for example, memory. What do you type? Anyone, Dr. Bean, I can tell me. You want to study, you want to understand that memory. What is the keyword you will enter in Google? I will tell you what is the keyword I will use. Then that will help you follow. Can you please tell me?
Sir, I would use memory in psychology.
Okay. So memory in psychology. Okay. Any others? Any others? So when you put it,
Improving memory retention.
very good, very good, ma'am. But I will tell you what is the keyword I will use. See, when we go for generally the term memory only, we cannot be able to get that. When we take memory in psychology,
Do you mention mnemonics, sir?
no, not at all. So when we type that, when we do that, how we are getting that information for memory, that I'm saying that for collecting this material, when we go for Google search, what is memory? That is the most commonly typed component. The next one is memory in psychology. Okay. So how to improve memory? These are the keywords we will use. But what is the keyword I will use to understand the concept? I will go that we know the basic information. I think everyone will get it through searching it. But the keywords you can use it, memory and brain. Okay, the relationship between memory and brain, and recent studies on memory. The keywords what I'm using for collecting the information, recent studies in memory, and the advancement in memory studies, and interesting studies on memory. So these were the keyword I use, and I will go for minimum 30. Minimum 30, I will go to that, and I will select among the 30. I will go for 10 to 12 or 15 articles related to that, and then I will select and then I'll prepare one content. I think I don't answer how I'm preparing.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Thank you. Because when I list memory in psychology, first I will get the research articles for me, which are like from ResearchGate or NCIB. Because nowadays NCIB is not opening, or research articles from PubMed, sort of. This is how my settings in my phone is like. So it is easier for me to get articles like that. So we have question from Valikala ma'am. There is a case where amygdala is removed and it impacted the patient's emotional responses. Can you
Yes,
share
yes.
that, please?
Yes, ma'am. There were studies conducted on that, and they found that when a man accidentally damaged his amygdala, and they found that there was a huge change in his emotional regulation. I think there is one more case study, forgot his name. When the iron rod fears is in brain and then it come out in one eye, there are certain portion of them were damaged. And particular period of time, he very calm person, and another time he cannot be able to control the emotion. They found that a portion of amygdala was damaged. So because of that, he's having that. They found out the limbic system, the emotional regulations, and that when we remove that amygdala, definitely, I think some people are fearless. There were studies found that if that size of amygdala and the functions in that structure and any change in that amygdala, if it is shrunken and the function is not appropriate to the mark, and they found that they are more fearless people, and they never had fear and more. These were the studies also found now. When we remove, definitely there will be a change in our emotional memories. You will not get fear at all, or you may get more aggressive, or you may show excessive emotion to the particular person, or you may not show any kind of emotion.
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Vidya.
Yes,
Vidya
Doctor. Yes, Doctor.
Sir, just out of curiosity, I'm asking.
Yes.
So if you know, you can just guide me.
Yeah, please.
See, we are having some painful past memories, right?
Mhm.
So painful past memories, I don't mean 10 years back or 5 years back. Maybe even 30 years back.
Yes.
Or even 35 years back. Maybe a 5 years child or a 7 years child.
Yes.
Okay, some trauma happened. So, see, those memories, even now at this age of 40 or whatever, right? We are remembering those memories, right?
Yes.
So, we talk about this long-term memory retrieval, this decay theory.
Yes.
So, if we are not using an information for some period, so I'm not aware of how many years. So, even after 35 years or something, how those memories, so that should get decayed, right? But why it is still we are able to retrieve it? Maybe there is any particular year for the decay, like these
No,
many
yeah.
years is needed for a decay.
I think it is
Please, if you
more,
could guide me, just.
definitely. I will give my input, my understanding regarding this. I think it is one of the best question I can say. The emotional related memory, that's why I said one of the study, they found that any memory which is strongly bonded with emotions is long lasting. For example, amygdala and hippocampus were stored, and it means they give the priority. These information will be the long term memory. And there are few experts were trying to, for example, that some of the incidents which will make us to not sleep, that will ruminate our thought, and it will we may not be oriented our conscious component, and we may not do the activity whatever we are doing it. It is because that negative thought will surface, and the traumatic experiences surfaces, and then kill that activity we are having. So when we try to control these things, and it will become a bigger one. And there are another way focusing on it, we can give priority to the importance to the other emotions. Then where chances are that we may not, when we are not focusing on particular thing, when we give importance to other areas, and there is a high chances are there, those dramatic things may not surface again. And I think, so this is an input from me. I think one more article I found that the emotional memories cannot be
It cannot be
forgotten
decayed.
easily. Yes, we can forget very easily.
May I add on, Suresh?
Yes, please.
Actually, Dr. Vidya, that's a fantastic question. That's the reason, from psychoanalytical perspective, that's the reason Freud says childhood scars are very important for, forming a lot of damage even when they become adult. So the emotional memory stores, and moreover, we use a lot of defense mechanism to push it down, and we suppress it consciously every now and then. So the threat to experience it again. So we revisit it actually every now and then, either consciously or subconsciously, putting it no into that surface level we don't want to experience, but we revisit that. That's the reason that is very active part. So emotional
Okay.
aspects are not being forgotten easily. This is the one of the very important aspect
So
to
even
mention.
unconsciously, we must have been,
Yes, yes. We
retrieving it.
relive, and yeah, we are
Okay.
reliving. We wanted to experience. We don't want to suppress. For example, any cruel part of our experiences, or unpleasant and painful, or an kind of an even an socially inappropriate behaviors of us, fear, anxiety, aggression, which all we put it in. Put it inside. Freud says that is suppressed over the period of time. These erect, and this also comes out of in various other forms. We do defense mechanism continuously to suppress it, no? So we revisit again and again. So that's the reason we are not able to decay it easily. Hope I answered you.
Yeah, ma'am. So unconsciously, maybe, because why my question was, because consciously I'm not remembering it. But why maybe after 35 years, now if somebody asks me or digs me on it, why I'm remembering it? Why it is not got decayed? That was my question. As you said, maybe that is in the unconscious thing.
It is there actually. It is not you are it. It is there. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, no. What is a very important aspect is we all have so many layers of consciousness, we say, no. So that conscious level which we are visiting it, and we have been in a very existing and surface level, we are able to address it in a logical way, but which has been suppressed, we revisit again and again in a very various other forms. You use various defense mechanism to suppress it again and again. So that's the reason people have in a dream and other aspects, they actually get all those aspects in a very symbolic manner. So we revisit continuously. It is an active mode only. That's the reason we are not able to forget the emotional thing. Yeah. So what we have to really do is we do in therapy that accepting those factors and witnessing it, not denying it, accepting the factor. We should not suppress it. We have to actively get it back to the surface level, revisit, experience, and then accept the factor and move on. So we use all these emotional EMDR and other technique and all to manage with these kind of suppressed emotions.
Yeah, well answered, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shubha ma'am. Thank you for answering that.
Thank you, Suresh sir.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Vidya. And the next question is from Jyoti sir. Sir, please share any insights on role of glands in memory.
Sir, yes, sir. My next presentation is about glands and its impact on our memory and how it influences our memory only, sir. Definitely, we'll discuss in our coming presentations.
Sure, sir. Thank you. I have one more question also. Veena ma'am, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just now, in general, the reading of the information in any memory needs refreshments at a given intervals. Is there any mechanism through which it happens in the long-term memories?
Is there in just a minute, in between in general, in retaining of the info, in many memory needs refreshment again. I think in the beginning I given a model. I think really we had a session with Van.
Yes, sir. Rehearsal, you said, sir. Rehearsal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And
But rehearsal happens well before it is getting into permanent memory, sir, if I'm right. Like
yes, sir. Before
long-term memory.
yes,
But after it is registered in the long-term memory, as Dr. Vidya referred, like so many years it is retained.
Mm-hmm.
It is not even recalled and refreshed and all that as per our general, remembrance goal.
Yes, you are right, sir. Actually, there were studies are they are saying that when you study about particular procedural memory will be there, sir. Procedural memory. For example, I will say that the migration among the birds. Okay, the bird will come here one time and then will come back, go back to the particular even 400 or 12,000 kilometers.
Okay.
So this memory will be there. They are genetically coded memory.
Okay.
And these, for example, that's why when you take about any kind of incidences which is fear creating or emotion related, you will give more attention. We'll give more attention. So that information we were trained to give importance to that. It is there in our long-term memory. Even though we are not rehearsing it.
Okay. I would say probably, I can understand this way, whether it does not need a refreshment or the refreshing time is not this time of our life. It may be even more than that.
Definitely, sir. We can take it as one of the strategy to, for example, if you go for long-term memory, we can connect a particular emotion state with that incident. So if you study something, you connect with a particular emotion state and it will remember those things. When I was aggressive, I learned these things. When I was angry, when I was very happy, I learned these things. We can connect and then we'll remember, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jyoti sir, and thank you, Suresh sir. Next question is from Alexandria. How to help ourselves to fearless? Ma'am, can you please elaborate that question?
Yeah, it's very simple. As I said, we know that the fear is there in amygdala only. There are when it is activated, we will have the fear. Okay. Sympathetic and parasympathetic, I think we all know the nervous system. Sympathetic that will, for example, that hormones, as Jyoti sir also asked, hormones will be secreted and we more anxious to the particular component. We may not perform better. At the same time, we are having the parasympathetic when we activate these things. So when parasympathetic can be activated consciously also. Consciously when we do that, that's why that some of them they will take the deep breaths, okay, and they can cool down. And for example, when you are fear about something, and we know that the behavioral strategies like systematic sensitization, when we are sensitized the particular fear and desensitization, we can do that. Sensitization means when you train a particular skill, when you want to curb or when you want to extend the existing skill of systematic desensitization. Yes, we can able to disengage that fear emotions in an individual. There are possibilities are there, and kappa is on controlling that. As I said, When there is a communication between two neurons are high, that means the memory will be there. When you control the communication between two neurons, the synaptic communication, then there is a high chances that the emotional fear can be controlled in an individual. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Yes, thank you so much for answering that question. Sir, I have a question like in patients who are suffering with dementia,
Mm.
even they have their loss of memory and all, still they will be responding to music, because
Yes.
music therapy is one thing which is found to
Yes.
be
Yes.
one of the interventions for patients with
Mm.
dementia. So, can you please explain
Yeah,
about it?
Dr. Veena, I think it is an interesting another question. I would say that there are two recent articles I have gone through. One is on brain rehabilitation study. Brain rehabilitation study saying about that. I think neurogenesis means that new neurons will be formed. I think very rarely it will happen. They are saying that if you practice, for example, when you practice mindfulness, when you listen melody music, neurogenesis will happen in an individual. There are studies that proven. And that's why you said that when they listen to music, they can remember. Dementia and Alzheimer happen because there are brain cells are damaged or degeneration of the brain cells are very heavily affected in an individual. They cannot be able to recollect that memory. They forgot most of the information. What we can do that, and sometimes there are cells will be there. Okay, that cells will not be so the fullest potential. Okay, if I can remember, I can score 100 marks, but I can score only 20 marks. These strategies like mindfulness and then listening music therapy or aromatherapy, floral therapy will stimulate that particular neuron. It will make them to function 100%. So these were studies are going on. Definitely, these upcoming studies will give enlight on that. We can take care of that dementia and Alzheimer patients.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And the next question is Kanaka Pratap, sir. He says that he can remember his Kandasasti Kavasam, which was he no studied in his childhood days, but he's not able to remember his recent studies. What is the reason?
No, and the reason is, I think, when we were in a childhood, our neuroplasticity were more flexible. Now we are not having the more flexible. That is the reason we are not open up. But ஐந்தில் வளையாது ஐம்பதில் வளையாதுன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. That is a proverb that when you want to teach the children at the early stages, they will more information they can take up, more energy will be there. But at the later stages, we are not having the new cells will not be created. We need a new cells to for accommodating. If I am not having the space in my brain, what there I will store the information. And if it is not allowing, for example, if I want to learn or open up for learning, there are particular neural network must be activated. If it is not activated, it will not happen. That's why we remember, and the earlier we will learn, but recently we are not able to remember. It is because of those connections were disconnected somewhere else. There is disconnection between the neural network. And one more thing, as you said, why you remember context cavasam, I can say that it is one of the memory technique, which means that memory technique, rhyming, anything is on rhyming. There is an one, when I was studying my 10th standard, there is an one poem we have to remember. There is a movie in Talabadi movie, there is an first spell will come. That song we have to get a 10 marks. And the rhyming, when you have the rhyming, you will remember for longer period of time. So that's why you remember Kandasasti Kavasam. Yes.
Okay. Sir, one more question. Why
Mm-hmm.
is it that men don't remember the birthdays or anniversaries of their spouse? Can you please answer that?
Men are wired differently.
Even I see, even for me, it is a very difficult task for me. And today,
Any research on that, sir, happening or
we have to do
happened?
that. No, as per my knowledge, I don't know what is the answer for that. And we will do the research and then we'll find the answer. That
The
is
design, sir. The design.
No, there is something called memory, gender, and brain. There is a research. If
okay.
you visit, that is that how the men are wired differently than the female.
I saw the video, ma'am, the document by one of the person. He is very funny also. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Shubha ma'am. And Thank you so much for that excellent presentation, sir. Looking forward for the next.
Part 2, 3, 4 will go.
Yes,
Part 2 is
definitely.
about yes.
Definitely, sir. Now I call upon Shubha ma'am to please place vote of thanks for Suresh Kumar, sir.
Hello,
Yes.
I have sent a question.
Yes. Yes. Why women don't remember the roads, but Krishnan sir, women do remember roads, and
I
I am
think
an
that is
example for that.
I don't
that
consider
is
it, sir.
a good answer.
Actually, that is because of the evolutionary men are, that is from evolutionary psychology. I can answer this.
Yeah, please.
Men are topographically very sound. Women are no with the landmarks and other sound. That's the reason men give direction with a lot of specificity. Like they will say that 40 kilometers you have to try and you have to take a left and then you have to climb 4 feet and then you have to take a right and other things. They will give a lot of details with the topographical details. Whereas the women will give lot of இங்கேருந்து போனீங்கன்னா பிள்ளையார் கோயில் இருக்கும். பிள்ளையார் கோயில்ல இருந்து திரும்பினீங்கன்னா அங்க ஒரு ஆலமரம் வரும். ஆலமரத்துல இருந்து ஒரு குளம் பக்கத்துல 2வது தெருவுல நுழைஞ்சீங்கன்னா அந்த வீட்டு வாசல்ல பம்ப் இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு they will give. So they remember things with the landmarks. It is topographically, men were hunters and they were breadwinners. They have been very sound. Their brain is also designed like they
Thank
are
you, ma'am.
wired differently.
Okay.
Yes, definitely, ma'am. Thank you so much. We are
He had
definitely
given
looking
such good
forward.
explanation. So Veena, don't claim that, okay? Bye.
Sir, because I am the person who will be giving directions for my husband while he is driving. So I do remember the routes. And yes, now I call upon Shubha ma'am to please give vote of thanks for Suresh sir.
Thank you so much from the Department of Psychology, American College, to Dr. Suresh Kumar for his wonderful presentation on memory. And he has also covered a huge aspect of the brain behind the memory. And he has clearly given with a lot of cases and practical examples. That was a wonderful presentation, yet another remarkable presentation by Dr. Suresh Kumar. And I have seen the thirst in his, him in learning and reviewing a lot of research articles. I have witnessed him closely. So he's a very thorough researcher and he really enjoys learning. One of the very important aspect for all of us to practice is unlearn and relearn. That is very important for memory. I thank Suresh Kumar honestly from Department of Psychology, American College, Madurai, and as well as the other collaborative institutions, Madras School of Social Work, Red Pond Academy, and also MS Chellamuthu Rehabilitation Trust, and other, other associates. Thank you so much from the core team as well as from the friends and who have been traveling, actively asking questions, all our participants. Also, I thank Dr. Suresh Kumar. Thank you so much, Suresh.
So much for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shubha ma'am. And participants, kindly send your queries and feedback to mywebinarfeedback@gmail.com. And we will meet tomorrow with yet another wonderful session. Thank you. Good night. Bye bye. Sir is full of flowers and fruits and everything. Thank you so much, sir.